sorry I screwed up about that. I'm here with Chuck McBride, Chief Guys, I screwed that one up again. Jeez, I'm really messing this up, guys.
Action.
I'm here with Chuck McBride, Chief Creative Officer of Cutwater, San Francisco, to ask him a few questions about creativity and inspiration. There you go, guys.
Thank you so much. I'm really glad to be here. I'm honored and to be interviewed by such a luminary interviewer.
What are you talking about? This is my first time.
And I guess that's the challenge that we're both going to have. But
yeah, so I'm bad at doing stuff on TV, so I'm going to be doing a lot of screw-ups for you guys, and that's just a warning. And we're not going to stop filming because we want to get this done as fast as I can because I'm hungry and I want dinner.
So what kind of questions do you have me? Do you have?
That's actually not true. I don't really want dinner right now. I'm not very hungry. There's so much stuff I want to ask you right now, but just like what kind of stuff do I want to ask you? But this is time for inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
When you were a kid, why did you choose other jobs over and then you went to advertising?
Well, that's a good question because I think that, as a young person, you're going to have to ask yourself a question, right? At some point, do you want to be, very scientific, or do you want to be creative, or do you want to be more organizational? And, young minds have to make a decision at some point.
It's like the SpongeBob said, imagination.
Yeah, so using your imagination, I think, is as powerful as using your muscles, or is as powerful as using your calculator. And I think the imagination is muscles and a calculator combined, and is way more powerful than anybody could ever imagine. So creativity will be a tool that we get to use in the future for a long, long time.
And this is the same for me. When I know what you're talking about, it's harder to do the work on Zoom because it's you're not there, and it's hard. It's more hard to create up ideas because the way to create ideas is from somebody saying an idea and just doesn't get that same when you're in a meeting in real life and you're all interacting with each other and you're having fun, messing around. It feels so much better and more how should I say it? It's just you know what I'm saying. It's not
real, yeah.
It's real. It's not there's no word that can really describe it. It's
magic of the idea happens when two people are talking about the same thing or the same problem, and they make something that multiplies. Yeah, I really do think creativity is always 1 + 1 = 3. I think that's where creativity has its magic. And it's very hard when we're in quarantine and we can't go out, we can't talk to each other in the same way. And if we have to wear masks, we can't even see our faces. It's much harder. But we have to understand that the best thing about creativity is that it will prevail. I have had moments on Zoom where we have had breakthroughs on ideas because we were talking about the problems. We were talking about the solutions. We were talking about what could be. So I think we'll work around it. I think we'll find ways through it.
Yes. And what do you think, what you're just, what do you, want to put out there for these people?
Well, the first thing we wanted to do is just make sure that everybody stays safe, right? And I think that most of what we do in advertising is to try to help people understand how to behave. I know, buy stuff, you get it, all right? We're commercial artists. But we do have a chance during these bigger social issues to be a shepherd of human behavior. And I think it's our responsibility to create messaging that asks people to do the right thing because people need to hear a consistent voice. And so we did some work along the lines of wear masks. We have also done some works about stay at home, trying to help the ANA and a bunch of other organizations. But creative people solve problems, and this is a giant problem. And creative people will be needed to solve this problem. And I know that creative people will get us through it.
Yes, but like, what? So before you chose advertising, what were you going to do, and what made you go to advertising, not that job?
Well, I actually was working in construction before I got into advertising. I was working on job sites where you swung a hammer and you brought in a bunch of lumber. It was a bunch of physical labor, and it was hard. It was very gratifying. I learned how to put things together. In fact, in many ways, the things I learned in construction, I have actually translated to advertising, because all we're doing is building things. But the one thing I do know is your body can't survive that long a period in construction. So it was kind of nice to let your mind do the building and not just your body. So my best friend that I worked for, his back got thrown out, and he said to me, don't spend your life working in construction when you can spend the rest of your life working where your mind does the building. And advertising was where I was able to find that space.
You can't always rely on your physical strength.
You can't. Your mind has to be strong too. Your mind has to be absolutely strong.
Because really what's happening in your mind is your mind, you think that since you're working out, your mind's saying, oh, you're getting stronger, so that's why your muscles are like basically getting bigger. Anyways.
Or your mind is your muscle, I think is really.
Or your mind is your muscle.
Your mind is your muscle. Isn't that kind of interesting?
That's very...
You like that, don't you? Yeah, that's what advertising is about. It's about giving you ideas to think, wait a minute, I can think about this differently.
Mm-hmm. So, why did you why, it's just, this is in more the inspiration, but who gave you the idea to go to advertising?
I think that what gave me the idea to get into advertising is I was really compelled around public communication. I really felt strongly that when there are things in this world, ideas in this world that made people think or believe or move, that there was an incredible social responsibility to that. There was. I wanted to be a speechwriter. I actually didn't want to be in advertising. I wanted to be writing speeches for presidents.
Shakespeare and stuff.
Well, or actually for like presidents and senators. I wanted to help people change their behavior for the betterment of the planet and the betterment of the nation and the betterment of humanity. And the truth is that it is so political, and it's not a pure endeavor. Advertising became a better endeavor, because you take a brand and you try to make them the best version that they could be, and it just became a little bit more real. Like, you could actually do that real, whereas if you do that in politics right now, I don't feel it's very real.
That is a good point. Right, but just why? I noticed that you're stressed constantly, and what is making you not ask for at least a day without doing any work, just to kind of lay back, because all of these people are wanting you to do these meetings that you can't get into because you're just too stressed, and half the time you're half the time your computer's about to explode because how much work you're doing.
These are really interesting times, right? These are really interesting times. And I think that what I'm starting to realize is that when we had an office to go to and kind of separate our work and our life, it was much easier, right? I could go to the office, and I could compartmentalize all that work that I had to do within an 8-hour, 9-hour day. And now that I live with you and we have to work together, you get up, we got to do school, we do all these things, it's harder. It's much harder. But I hope from it we get to the realization that we all have work to do. But we also have to realize we all have fun to do, right? We all
Yeah.
should have some fun, right? And we've had some fun, right?
Yes, we have much fun. Like today, after I did all my schoolwork, we went swimming, and I think that was probably one of the most fun I've had in a while.
Yeah. So I think what we're going to start to do is we're going to start to think about what we're really doing, right? How much we should spend our time doing work, and how much should we spend our time being with the ones we care about the most. And that clearly is you.
That's all I got.
That's all I got too.